Listen to the 5 words that shattered the Trump-Patel alliance and potentially ended both their careers. I'm staying out of this one. On January 10, 2026, during a live Joe Rogan podcast recording, FBI Director Kash Patel was directly confronted with Elon Musk's explosive tweet claiming Donald Trump appears throughout the Epstein files, the files that Kash Patel himself controls and has refused to release for 8 months, despite promising transparency. Kash Patel didn't expect Elon Musk, Trump's former co-president and closest ally, would publicly declare January 10th, time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Donald Trump didn't expect his hand-picked FBI director would refuse to defend him when Joe Rogan asked directly about the accusation, instead stating he would stay out of the controversy despite having the Epstein files on his desk and knowing exactly what they contain as legal evidence of decades of allegations. What did Kash Patel's refusal to defend Donald Trump reveal about what the FBI director has seen in classified documents that even Trump's most loyal appointee cannot bring himself to deny Elon's claims, and why did Trump respond with the exact same phrase, "I wish him well," that he used for convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell, suggesting consciousness of guilt documented in legal evidence he desperately wants buried? January 10th, 2026, 11:47 a.m. Pacific Time. Joe Rogan's Austin, Texas podcast studio. What began as routine 3-hour conversation between comedian podcaster Joe Rogan and FBI Director Kash Patel became one of the most consequential moments in political media history. The instant when Trump's most loyal defender publicly refused to defend him on the issue that could destroy his presidency. FBI Director Kash Patel had appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience to discuss standard FBI talking points: crime statistics, immigration enforcement, the supposed end of two-tiered justice under Trump's second administration. For 90 minutes, Kash Patel delivered practiced answers about restoring law and order, protecting American sovereignty, draining the deep state swamp. Nothing controversial, nothing unexpected from Trump's most faithful soldier, who had spent years defending the former president through every scandal. But at 11:47 a.m., everything changed when Joe Rogan's producer interrupted to alert them about explosive development unfolding in real time on social media. Elon Musk, the billionaire who had spent $277 million electing Donald Trump, who had been granted unprecedented co-president status running the Department of Government Efficiency, who had been Trump's most visible supporter for 2 years, had just detonated a political nuclear bomb. Rogan read Musk's tweet aloud for podcast listeners and Kash Patel to hear time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day. The studio fell into stunned silence, captured by multiple cameras recording Kash Patel's reaction. The FBI director, who had built his entire career on unwavering loyalty to Donald Trump, who had promised complete transparency about Epstein files, who had claimed for 8 months that only legal technicalities prevented release. That man sat frozen as the co-president accused his boss of being Epstein associate, whose crimes were being covered up. "Jesus Christ," Rogan muttered, processing the implications. "That's a crazy thing to say. How does he know? Does he have access to the Epstein files?" This was the moment. This was Kash Patel's opportunity to defend Donald Trump categorically, to state unequivocally that he had reviewed every page of Epstein files as FBI director and could confirm Trump wasn't implicated, to call Elon's accusation false, reckless, defamatory, to protect the president who had given him power. Instead, at 11:49 a.m., FBI Director Kash Patel delivered 5 words that would echo through political history. "I'm staying out of this one." Not "that's false," not "I've seen the files and Trump isn't implicated," not even "I can't comment on classified materials," just "I'm staying out of this one. I'm not participating in any of that conversation." Kash Patel continued, his voice carrying unmistakable discomfort as cameras captured every micro-expression. "I know my lane and that ain't it." The non-denial was deafening. Joe Rogan, experienced interviewer who had questioned presidents and billionaires, recognized immediately what he was witnessing. "What the fuck are they doing?" Rogan asked, sensing the enormity of Kash Patel publicly distancing himself from defending Donald Trump on Epstein allegations. Within minutes, the clip had been posted across every social media platform. FBI director refuses to defend Trump on Epstein became the top trending topic globally. Legal analysts noted that Kash Patel's careful word choice, staying out of this, suggested he possessed information that made denial impossible without committing perjury or destroying his own credibility as FBI director. The timeline made Kash Patel's silence even more damning when examined as legal evidence of cover-up. On May 28, 2025, 8 months earlier, Kash Patel had appeared on Fox News promising imminent release of Epstein files. "I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever," he declared, "but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it. We are diligently working on that." 8 months of diligent work with zero results. 8 months of delays while Donald Trump remained protected. And now, when confronted with direct accusation from Musk, Kash Patel couldn't bring himself to defend Trump despite having the files on his desk. Attorney General Pam Bondi had publicly stated she gave Epstein files directly to Kash Patel in May 2025. Director Patel and the FBI are going through it, Bondi confirmed in testimony before Congress. That meant FBI Director Kash Patel had possessed complete Epstein investigation materials for 8 months. Every flight log, every witness statement, every photograph, every document that could exonerate or implicate Donald Trump. Yet when given opportunity to exonerate Trump publicly on January 10th, Kash Patel chose silence. The contrast with conservative media's frantic defense of Trump made Kash Patel's refusal even more conspicuous. Within hours of Musk's tweet, Sean Hannity spent 15 minutes on Fox News defending Donald Trump against Epstein allegations. "Wasn't it Donald Trump who booted Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago nearly 20 years ago?" Hannity argued desperately. "He was one of the first people to realize just how horrible Epstein really was." Charlie Kirk deployed similar defense. "Was Trump part of the Epstein client list? Absolutely not. That is complete nonsense." Newsmax's Carl Higbie claimed, if Trump had done something illegal with Jeffrey Epstein, Biden would have thrown that at him. Conservative pundits with no access to classified Epstein files rushed to defend Donald Trump categorically. But FBI Director Kash Patel, the one person who had actually seen the legal evidence, who knew exactly what documents contained, who could definitively state whether Trump was implicated, that person stayed silent. The legal evidence that exists in public record makes Trump's Epstein connections undeniable regardless of what classified files contain. Trump's name appears on Epstein's private jet flight logs at least 7 documented times. Epstein's personal address book contained multiple phone numbers for Trump at Trump Tower, Mar-a-Lago, and other properties. In sworn depositions, Epstein victims identified Donald Trump as someone they encountered at Epstein properties. One victim, using pseudonym Jane Doe in court filings, testified that Jeffrey Epstein introduced her to Donald Trump when she was 14 years old. Another Epstein victim stated in deposition, Jeffrey said, "Great, we'll call up Trump and we'll go to one of his casinos." In documents filed in Southern District of New York Federal Court, Donald Trump is identified as Doe 174, an individual discussed extensively in redacted portions of Epstein-related materials that remain sealed. Those sealed materials are precisely what Kash Patel controls as FBI director and refuses to release despite promising transparency. Virginia Giuffre, perhaps the most prominent Epstein victim before her death by apparent suicide in December 2025, had testified that she was recruited into Epstein's trafficking network while working at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in 1999. Ghislaine Maxwell approached Virginia at Mar-a-Lago, offered her money to provide massages to Jeffrey Epstein, and thus began years of abuse that would eventually implicate Prince Andrew and numerous other powerful men. The fact that Epstein's trafficking operation recruited victims directly from Donald Trump's private club, where Trump was present regularly and knew both Epstein and Maxwell personally, raises questions that Kash Patel refuses to answer despite having complete investigative files as legal evidence. In 2002, Donald Trump told New York Magazine, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Trump's description of Epstein liking women on the younger side took on sinister meaning after Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting prostitution from minor and his 2019 federal indictment for sex trafficking of minors. On January 11, 2026, one day after Kash Patel's refusal to defend him, Donald Trump was asked about Elon Musk aboard Air Force One. Trump's response mirrored his 2020 statement about Ghislaine Maxwell with eerie precision, suggesting consciousness of guilt. "What's your view on Elon Musk?" a reporter asked. "I've been so busy working on China, working on Russia, working on Iran," Trump deflected before delivering the damning phrase, "I just wish him well." "I wish him well," the exact same words Donald Trump used in July 2020 when asked about Ghislaine Maxwell during her sex trafficking trial. "I just wish her well, frankly," Trump had stated then. "I've met her numerous times over the years." Legal experts noted that "I wish them well" is classic deflection, employed by individuals who know they're connected to criminal activity but cannot defend the accused without implicating themselves. Trump couldn't condemn Maxwell because she possessed knowledge of his interactions with Epstein. Similarly, Trump couldn't attack Musk because Musk might possess evidence, potentially from his security clearances or government access, about Trump's Epstein connections. The parallel "wish them well" statements provided legal evidence of patterns suggesting guilty knowledge. Innocent individuals don't wish well to sex traffickers and their accusers, they condemn them categorically. By January 12, the Trump-Musk split dominated every news cycle. Musk continued posting cryptic messages about truths that needed to come out. Trump remained uncharacteristically restrained in attacking his former ally, suggesting Musk held leverage. An FBI director, Kash Patel, maintained complete silence about Epstein files he controlled. Congressional Democrats seized the opening. Senator Richard Blumenthal announced January 13th hearing demanding Kash Patel explain his refusal to release files after 8 months of delays. Director Patel's silence on the Rogan podcast speaks volumes. Blumenthal stated, "If Trump wasn't in those files, Patel would have said so definitively. His refusal to defend the president suggests the files contain information Patel cannot deny without committing perjury." Representative Jamie Raskin filed subpoena demanding all Epstein files be delivered to House Oversight Committee within 72 hours. "The American people deserve to know why their FBI director cannot defend their president against allegations of appearing in Jeffrey Epstein's files," Raskin declared. Today, January 13th, 2026, 3 days after Kash Patel's stunning refusal to defend Donald Trump, the questions multiply without answers. What did FBI directors see in classified Epstein files that made defending Trump impossible? Why did Trump use identical "wish them well" phrase for both Ghislaine Maxwell and Elon Musk if he has nothing to hide? And most critically, if Trump truly appears throughout Epstein files as Musk claims and Kash Patel cannot deny, what legal evidence exists that could potentially end Trump's presidency and send multiple powerful figures to prison? The 5 words "I'm staying out of this" may have revealed more truth than any document release ever could. Sometimes silence speaks louder than any confession. The implications extend beyond Kash Patel and Donald Trump individually. If FBI director possesses Epstein files proving Trump's connections but refuses release to protect the president, that constitutes obstruction of justice and abuse of office, federal crimes carrying decades imprisonment. If Trump knowingly appears in materials documenting Epstein's criminal network yet has blocked disclosure through Patel and Bondi, that represents conspiracy to conceal evidence and obstruction on presidential scale. Legal scholars noted Patel's precise positioning. By refusing to defend rather than citing classification, he confirmed possessing relevant information but choosing silence. That transforms this from classification dispute into potential cover-up. Virginia Giuffre's Mar-a-Lago recruitment troubles investigators. At 16, homeless, desperate, she got job at Trump's resort in 1999. Within weeks where Donald Trump was present, Maxwell recruited her into Epstein's network. Years of abuse by Epstein, Maxwell, Prince Andrew followed. Question isn't whether Trump knew Epstein, noted Miami Herald's Julie K. Brown. They were friends for decades. Question is what Trump knew about crimes, when, and whether he participated or enabled trafficking on his property. FBI Director Kash Patel controls documents, answering those questions, 8 months after receiving from Bondi 0 pages released, despite no legal barriers. Conservative media's frantic defense reveals awareness. Public legal evidence looks damning. 7 flights, phone numbers, and contact book. Doe 174 inches references. Younger side quote. Mar-a-Lago recruitment. Maxwell wish well statement. Each could have innocent explanation. Collectively, disturbing pattern. Classified files might confirm. Elon factor adds complexity. With highest security clearances through SpaceX, former Doge access, Musk might have seen documents. His willingness to destroy Trump relationships suggests knowledge, making accusation defensible. Trump's wish him well instead of that's a lie. Response confirms Musk's truth. Today, January 13th, Congress demands Kash Patel explain silence. Release files immediately. Question: does President appear in materials documenting child trafficking? Will FBI Director choose justice over loyalty? 5 words. I'm staying out of this, suggested. Kash Patel knows the answer. That silence may be most damning legal evidence of all. The pattern extends beyond Kash Patel's refusal. When pressed January 12th about why files remain unreleased after 8 months, FBI spokesperson deflected, complex review processes require time. Yet FBI released classified materials within weeks when politically convenient for Trump on other matters. Documented in legal evidence review,